Good morning, I'm Morgan Donner, and today I wanted to talk to you a little bit about commissions. So I'm actually working on a commission right now that is very rare for me, but I agreed to this a few years ago. And, I've just kind of had commissions on the brain for the past few days as I was working on this. And, something that I've seen over and over again is when people start to get pretty good at something, especially sewing, almost certainly they start to get asked, hey, do you take commissions? I love what you're doing. I want some of that. And over and over, I hear these stories from people who have accepted and done a couple commissions, probably from friends, and have sworn off ever doing them again because the experience was so terrible. And that's a shame. We should be supporting our artists, especially our friend artists. We should be doing things to make it so that they are really loving and enjoying the experience of making something maybe for a bit of money. Yeah. So I thought maybe I would have a little bit of a conversation about how to make commissions less terrible, less of an awful thing. So here are kind of my thoughts on making it just a little better. So starting off, number one, the thing that makes a commission instead of a gift, I guess, is money. Money is what makes this whole thing kind of weird to talk about and deal with. It's, I think, some of the biggest source of contention and stress when it comes to making a commission. It's the biggest source of anxiety and freaking out and all these other things. I guess I want to start off by saying, if you are quoted a price, please don't try and haggle. Don't. If someone says that their price is $100, don't tell them, well, I've got 60, so can I just pay that? No, you can't. On a related note, exposure is not money. It does not pay the bills. It is not helpful or terribly useful. It's really kind of worthless and is a little bit insulting to say that that's what you'd like to pay somebody with. So if somebody comes to mow your lawn, you don't tell them, no money this time, but I will tell all the neighbors that you did a great job. Nope, not cool. Not how this works. Not how any of this works. Tip number 2 would be to research the thing that you're wanting made before you ask for it to be made. And I mean that on kind of several different fronts. Let's say you have a friend who started making quilts and she's made a few really pretty ones and you would love for her to make you a quilt. But especially for someone who's kind of new to the craft, they maybe haven't sat down and thought about how many hours upon hours go into making a quilt. And whenever you go to approach them, it would be really nice, especially if you're approaching a friend, if you have already done some research into what a typical quilt handmade by somebody custom for you would cost. Along that same vein, research before you actually start asking is know what you actually want. I feel like sometimes people will show up and say, I want a medieval dress. Well, okay, what do you mean by medieval? Do you mean a specific time and place? Do you mean something that is super princessy and very fun and gorgeous and flowy? Or do you mean something much more kind of practical and hard-wearing for medieval camping? What is it that you're talking about? You should already know those answers before you've reached out to someone so that they don't have to sit here and pull out every little bit and piece of information. Because especially if they get to the end, I know what you want now, and they quote you a price, and then you say, no thanks. Well, now you've wasted their time, wasted your time. No. Do a little bit of research before you approach anybody. I think the third thing that I'm going to recommend is try and do your best to be a good communicator of things. I realize it's kind of a weird, nebulous one to say, but especially if you have a tight timeline, then there's always going to be the chance that they need to ask you questions about sizing or this or that or the other thing. And I mean, I guess if the project isn't due for 2 years, then okay, cool, whatever. Be as slow on communication as you want, I guess. I realize that everybody's got lives and is very busy and can't answer, questions and emails every moment of the day. But I feel like most people, most, not everyone, but most, probably have a chance to sit down and check email about once a day, maybe once every 2 days. But don't make someone wait weeks for a response if they're waiting for your response to continue with the project. Try to be respectful of their time and their efforts to get the thing to you as quickly and nicely as possible. I think what I'm going to call tip number 4. If you see something out in the world that is awesome, it's the thing you want, it's gorgeous, it's beautiful, buy it. Don't look at that thing, let's say a corset, that costs $300 and say, well, that is a beautiful corset and I want it. I think I'm going to have my friend who's starting to learn how to sew stuff, I'm going to ask my friend to make it for me for $100. What? No! What is wrong with you? Go pay that person who's made this awesome design that clearly caught your eye and made you really happy. Support their time and effort. If you take that picture of a corset to your friend, then hopefully they know enough to look at that and go, yeah, okay, I appreciate that you want it, it's gorgeous, but the boning, the waist tape, the busk, the grommets, the tools to set all of those things, I don't have any of those, and that alone's going to be $100. There's also something just a little bit sort of unsavory about asking someone to recreate somebody else's design. It's different with historical recreations where only one of that thing exists, but for that beautiful corset you found at the Ren Fair, just buy it. Chances are that really honestly is the cheapest way for you to obtain that thing. At that level of skill and cost savings, because they can buy in bulk, they've made that thing, hopefully 100 times, and so it's really good quality. Really, that's going to be your cheapest option. So sort of in that same vein of trying to have a project that's a little bit unique and not something that you can just buy from any old store, is that project should be kind of unique and interesting. Unique is relative, interesting is also very relative. But your whole goal here is to appeal to the maker, the artist, and get them really excited and interested in your project. Sometimes makers and commissioners are not a good fit. Whenever I talked to a bunch of my sewing friends who do commissions, of which I have a surprising number, something that every single one of them said, every single one, was that they have to kind of be just interested in your project. It wasn't enough for them to say like, okay, well that's an okay price, and yeah, I can do that, and yeah, I have the time, and there had to be a certain kind of effervescent quality of just being interested in that thing. Now that form of interest can be very different from artist to artist. Don't mind me flailing about my scissors here. Let's put those down before I poke an eye out. So something that could be interesting to one person might be artistic license, the ability to just go wild with a project. You want the best, most beautiful, amazing wedding dress? Cool. For some people, for some makers, that's super appealing and awesome, and they're really excited to help you out with that. There are other people who, if you said wedding dress, they'd go, oh no, I don't touch wedding dresses. Nope, that's not where my skill set is. Let's talk something a little bit more mundane, a party dress. Things that might interest a person would be something possibly that they've never done before and are interested in doing. Although you have to be careful with that one because it's hard to gauge. Some people will hear that you want them to make a corset and will go, oh my god, I've been wanting to make one of those, that's awesome, and are super excited and into it. Other people will hear you say that you want them to make a corset and go, that's not in my skill set. No thank you. And please, when an artist says no thank you, we'll get to it. Let's just move on. All right, and I know it might seem a little bit contrary to the whole pick something very interesting that'll appeal to the maker, maybe something they've never done before, but I'm gonna go ahead and say my 6th suggestion is going to be to pay attention to that person's body of work. If they are someone who does nothing but corsets, asking them to make a really cool, interesting, unique corset is probably great and perfect and right up their alley. Same thing with someone who makes super extravagant clothing, asking them to do a wedding dress. Probably something they might consider. And you don't necessarily have to stick exactly with what they're already doing, because again, they might be interested, but maybe don't ask the person who has only ever sewn quilts to make a 18th century ball gown. Don't do that unless they're a good friend and you know that that is explicitly something that they're interested in exploring and learning more about and possibly doing. Look into the kind of things they make before you waste their time and yours asking them to do something that's really just not in their wheelhouse. A very quick note, number 7 I think, is if you need to have alterations done, you need your pants hemmed or you need your shirts taken in or something like that, go to a tailoring shop, go to an alteration shop. They do that all day, every day. They're going to be able to do it much faster and easier and cheaper than your friend. Unless they have specifically asked you, hey, I'd love to practice hemming pants. Do you have any pants that you're willing to let me maybe ruin? Don't ask them. Now let's say you do have a really cool project and the maker is interested and agreed to go for it. Please follow any of their requirements. Some of them may request that you attend a certain number of fittings. Some of them may require that you purchase your own fabric and send it to them. Some may require that you be there for certain parts of the process. Fittings kind of fall into that, but there can be other reasons why they really want you to come and see the fabric and see how certain things are looking to get your approval and thoughts on things. People also may require the opposite. If you have a friend who sews for a living, some of them I've seen have specifically request of don't just come by my house and check up on how I'm doing because that stresses me out. Don't go over to other people's houses uninvited. It's weird. But as far as requirements that somebody who accepts commissions might have, I'm actually going to talk a little bit more about that in a second video. So just for now, suffice to say, if they have things that they have already communicated to you that they need you to do, please do them, or don't do them if that applies. For number 9, if you've gotten your thing, especially if you've gotten it from a friend, please enjoy the final product enthusiastically. I know it's a bit weird to say that, and some artists may be different, but if someone's gone through the trouble of making you something, if it's a fancy embroidered pillow, then try to have that item out and visible in your home when they come to visit. If it's a piece of clothing or jewelry or what have you, try to at least occasionally, maybe once or twice a year, wear it at something that you know that they will see you at. And if you can earnestly do so, show that you're enjoying and loving the thing that they made for you. I realized that, you know, yes, someone who's maybe a super professional artist that's doing high-end, fancy commission work, this is maybe less of an issue. But if they're your friend who you're trying to nurture into this realm of maybe getting paid to do something that they really enjoy, try to help be that super supportive, caring friend by really, really enthusiastically loving the thing that they made for you. Alright guys, this is the last one. We're on to tip number 10, and I've gotten real close with you because it's a serious one. It's a big one that I really want, if you listen to nothing else I have said today, listen to this one. If an artist says no to the project that you have proposed, move on. Accept their no graciously and without further argument, please. And I feel like people aren't necessarily meaning to not do that on purpose. Sometimes it can be kind of hard to hear that no. They may say it in a way that is a little bit more wishy-washy. If you say, I would love for you to work on that corset for me, and they say, oh, you know, I'm a little busy, and you might not realize it, but it sounds an awful lot to me like they are saying no. But they don't want to hurt your feelings because you're a friend who has come to them with a project that you're clearly really interested in. Don't push them and say like, oh no, you can do it, I believe in you, like, because they may really want to just say, no, I don't want to do that. Don't push them into having to be rude to you to say, no, I really don't want to do that project. I feel like that is the number one thing that I've heard so many people talk about, is that they felt a little bit like they had to do this project for a friend, even though they tried to say things like, oh, well, you know, my sewing machine it's at the shop, it's not working right now. And the friend says, okay, cool, I can wait, you know, until you get it back, or I have a sewing machine you can borrow. Or they don't try to fix their no. If they said no, please, pretty please for me, just accept that they maybe don't want to work on that project right now. You know, find somebody else who does. Alright, so I think that just about wraps up our 10 tips to make sewing and commissioning custom work a little bit better for everybody involved. These were especially oriented toward people who are maybe a little bit new to commission work, but I think the same tips apply pretty well to people who have been doing custom work for 10-20 years. If you have anything that you think I maybe missed and really wish that people who are interested in asking a commission would know and keep in mind, please, artists, comment down below. If you are that person who is starting to become better at your craft, you're starting to get a little bit of interested faces from those around you who kind of maybe want you to make something for them, or maybe you've already been asked, my next video is going to be for you. It's going to be all about how you can help on your end make this whole commission thing a much more comfortable, better experience for everyone involved. So please stay tuned. I hope you guys enjoyed the kind of different, more talking, less doing video. I wanted to be able to put something else, and this was kind of on my mind lately. I don't feel super comfortable with sharing a lot of how-tos, the guts and innards of somebody else's eventual property. So I decided that I'm not going to cover this. Please don't ask, you know, more information about the project that you saw little snippets of here. And if you do have a project that you want to see me do, also leave me a comment down below. I love hearing what you guys are really interested in seeing. Anyways, farewell and adieu. I hope you guys all have a lovely day. I hope you guys like the moving around. I'm trying to keep you entertained visually because I realize that a video of nothing but me talking at you can't possibly be all that interesting. So I'm trying to keep it moving. See, this is why I don't normally wear glasses, because I get lights. No matter what I do with my head, I'm gonna get lights in my eyes. Well, I can do this. Just stand like this the whole time. Cool. How do you like the angle? Completely unrelated note while I'm thinking about it. If you are not watching Gentleman Jack, then you should be. It's lovely and very fun, and inspired me to go with the high bun look, which is not my normal. It's very fun.